super important to have your sense of self and feel good within yourself without really needing external things. What can happen is if you're constantly searching for pleasure, which a lot of people are doing, they're not happy with their lives. So when they have free time, they want to feel good. And the only way they know how to feel good in these days, I'm going to give you an example. It's not the only way, but in these days, a lot of scrolling on Instagram, YouTube, Netflix, watching things, feeling good, because let's say your day was hard day at work. You come home, you're like, shit, I just want to feel good. So you chase pleasure. But when you're chasing that pleasure, you're not actually trying to get yourself out of the situation you're in. So instead of using the time that you have to find a way out of the situation you're in, you chase pleasure. And then it's like an endless loop, right? You're trapped. I'm going to give you an example of a scientific term called escape velocity. So it's when you have a planet orbiting another mass, it's going to stay in orbit for a very long time. And the only way for it to get out is for it to reach a certain speed to get out of that orbit. But it needs to reach a certain speed. So for you to get out of whatever thing you're orbiting and it feels endless, you have to do something different and dramatic to get yourself out of there, right? To shock yourself, you have to do something different, right? So one tip I have for you, when you go into the shower today, I want you to crank it cold and just sit in it. It's going to be uncomfortable, but I guarantee you doing things like this will help to train your brain out of the instant gratification loop, and it'll help to build escape velocity. You can use your own intuition and your own knowledge to try to find other things that are hard. This is just one example. I found it worked for me because since it's so hard to do when you're in there, your brain stops looking for cheap dopamine sources. Cold shower actually boosts your dopamine pretty dang high, and when it comes down, it's a little bit higher than baseline. So what it can do is it makes you feel good, but it also makes you not want to get dopamine from these cheap sources. It makes you kind of in touch with your humanness almost, because back in the day we were hunter-gatherers, we were going through all sorts of emotions, right? We had to find food, we had to find shelter, we had to do all these things. It's so easy now. Like if I want to get food, I just go to like 7-Eleven, boom, I have a freaking chocolate bar in my mouth, dopamine spiking everywhere because that was scarce back in the day, right? So it's good to understand these things and to break out of the loop and really understand your body and pulling you down. Therefore, you can come think about different topics and you can elevate yourself outside of the things that were holding you back before, you know? So yeah, like try to really understand that pleasure, try to understand that seeking pleasure all the time is destructive. It may feel good in the moment, but it's not good in the long run. Step number one, take a cold shower. Try to lessen the amount of cheap dopamine you take. So once a space is created, try to fill that with things that help your soul and help your mind and help you grow beyond the limits of what you thought you were held to when you were orbiting that dense gravitational void, of doing the same thing over and over again. Catch you later.